What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, man, we're going to talk about Gennady Golovkin's fights coming up this weekend. And since it's time for Gennady Golovkin to fight in a championship fight, it is now time for the boxing pundits and the marketing agents for Gennady Golovkin to pull out one of their favorite stories to tell, that Gennady Golovkin is on course to tie Bernard Hopkins for the most title defenses in the middleweight division. This, my friends, is a lie. It is a complete and utter falsehood, and a quick trip to BoxRec will show you so. With a basic understanding of what Bernard Hopkins' record is and what Gennady Golovkin's record is, Gennady Golovkin is not even halfway to catching Bernard Hopkins for that record. He's not halfway there. Anyway, before I do that, we're definitely going to have a live stream later today. Please, I hope you'll subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when the live stream happens. Also, so you know when we're dropping more videos. I definitely appreciate everybody that's been supporting the channel. Thank you very much to everybody in the Super Chat that donated to the Super Chat. Thank you very much. In the Venmo, thank you very much. And it's Patreons as well. You guys have really, really helped out the cause that I'm raising money for. It has been an absolute blessing to have you guys participate in the streams. Thank you, and thank you so much. Now, with that said, again, I hope that you accept my invitation to subscribe and hit the bell icon. And if you hit the bell icon, make sure that you get all notifications, and that way you won't get them just occasionally. You'll get them when they come out. Now, let's go through this article today that's in the boxingscene.com. Keith Idec wrote it. He said, if Gennady Golovkin beats Vanis Martirosyan on Saturday night, he'll tie Bernard Hopkins' middleweight record by making a 20th consecutive defense of one of his 160-pound titles. Now, the second part that is said, and I'll leave the rest of that alone, right? But listen to what Abel Sanchez says and what Gennady Golovkin says about this. This is absolute foolishness. I think it's great for his history, for boxing history. If you look at his record, he hasn't had any rematches in there, so everybody that he's fought has been a new opponent. The great Bernard Hopkins fought twice against Antoine Eccles and 3 times against Robert Allen. So we're fighting new guys every time. I think by tying, and hopefully if he decides to stay at middleweight or decides to stick around, breaking the record in the future, it's great for boxing history. It's good for his story and looking back on with fondness. Tom Loeffler says, I think it's bigger for everyone on the team, like Abel Sanchez, myself. We understand the historic perspective of what Gennady has accomplished in his career and could potentially accomplish Saturday, and if he's successful, potentially in another title defense. But Gennady, like he said, just wanted to fight. He just told me to get a fight. He didn't care who. He didn't care where. Just, I want to fight on Cinco de Mayo, and that was my job. Yada, 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 yada. Okay? And when I'm saying yada, yada, I mean it. Oh, this is what Bernard Golovkin said himself. I feel like a star. I like a star because if you check Bernard Hopkins' opponents, you'll probably understand that my record is much bigger, much stronger, bigger. It's a good situation for me and for my career and my fans. Of course, that's it. All right, stop. Everybody, please go to BoxRec. I'm not going to put this on here. Just go. Okay? First of all, let me shoot this again. Bernard Hopkins has his record is 20 consecutive title defenses of a major championship belt. Major championship belt. There are 4 major titles in boxing. The IBF, the WBA Super, the WBA Super, not the WBA, the WBA Super, the WBC, and the WBO. And the WBO was only really recognized as a major championship belt later on in the early 90s, late 80s, 90s. Because there was some beef with Lennox Lewis when Lennox Lewis said, "Look, man, if I would have known that if you were going to call the WBO a major championship belt, I would have went and got it." Right? So anyway, that aside, let's see when it was that Bernard Hopkins won his belt. Not complicated. Bernard Hopkins first won, and you got to say defended, right? So he won the IBF. He won a vacant IBF Boxing Federation title, International Boxing Federation, the IBF, on April 29th, 1995 against Segundo Mercado. He then defended that. He defended that 20 times. The IBF. He picked up the WBC against Keith Holmes. And then against the next fight against Felix Trinidad, he picked up the WBA Super. He picked up the WBC. When did he pick up the WBO? He picked up the WBO when he fought Oscar De La Hoya. Not funny, huh? Oscar De La Hoya got the WBO. He won the WBO against Oscar De La Hoya. And then he held those belts, and every one that you'll see between his fight with Segundo Mercado and in 1994 and 2005, December 3rd of 2005, when he lost the belt, in July 16th of 2005, when he lost his belt to Jermaine Taylor, he had the IBF, the WBA Super, the WBC, and the WBO. Okay? So, but he had a major championship belt since he beat Segundo Mercado. Okay, that's 20, and I can name them for you. 20, Howard Eastman, Oscar De La Hoya, Robert Allen, William Joppy, Murad Hakar, Carl Daniels, Felix Trinidad, Keith Holmes, Antoine Eccles, Sid Vanderpool, Antoine Eccles, Robert Allen. And by the way, the reason he fought Robert Allen was because there was a no contest the first time. Robert Allen, Simon Brown, Andrew Council, John David Jackson, William, all of these are defenses of a major championship belt. Joe Lipsy, Steve Frank. There you go. And then he won the first one, Segundo Mercado. That's the first time that he defended it. Oh, the first time he defended it was against Steve Frank. He won it against Segundo Mercado. Let's see how many names there are. When did Gennady Golovkin win any of those belts against, again, the WBA Super, the WBC, the IBF, or the WBO? Let's go to Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin first won a WBA regular title against a guy named Julio Tapia in 2010. But that's for the WBA regular title. Because at the time, there was a guy named Felix Strum. Strum, I always mess the pronunciation of this guy's name up. Felix Sturm held the WBA. Held the WBA Super title, the WBA Middleweight World super title. That was, and he held that. He won it, just so you know, because you can't have two super titles at the same time, right? Can't have two super titles at the same time. He won it in 2009 against a guy named Corinne Grover. And then he defended it again, the WBA super title. This is Felix Sturm. Held that title until 2012. And then he lost it against who? Daniel Gill. Daniel Gill was the WBA super title. He held the WBA super title. Daniel Gill, who beat Felix Sturm in 2012. When did Daniel Gill fight Gennady Golovkin? In 2014. So Daniel Gill, this was the first time that Gennady Golovkin ever held a major championship belt, because every other one before that was the IBO and the WBA regular. The IBO. Now note, I did not say the IBF. I said the IBO. He won the IBO title. So let's see how many fights, how many times he's defended the WBA super title. He defended it against Marco Rubio in 2014. That's one. He defended it against Martin Murray in 2015. That's two. He defended it against Willie Monroe. That's three. David Lemieux. That's four. Dominic Wade. That's five. Kell Brook. That's six. Daniel Jacobs. That's seven. Sal Alvarez. That's eight. And if he beats Vanis Martirosyan, that will be 9. He is going for his ninth title defense for a major championship belt, which is what Bernard Hopkins' record is. So anybody wants to wordplay with me, I had no need to do so. Bernard Hopkins had 20 title defenses of a major championship belt. He did not hold the WBA regular title. He did not hold the IBO title. He did not hold the NABF title. He did not hold the WBC silver title. He didn't hold the WBC Stardust title. He didn't do the WBA Mini-Me title. Gennady Golovkin has 8 title defenses of a major championship belt. That is it. No more than that. And he won and enough with the revisionist history. He won his first major title. Gennady Golovkin won his first major title just over 4 years ago. 4 years ago against Daniel Gill. Before that, he was fighting in Monte Carlo against Osamu Adamo for the IBO and the WBA regular title. Do you know who the WBA regular title holder is right now at welterweight? It is Lucas Matisse. Do you think that Lucas Matisse is a major championship holder because he holds the same title that Gennady Golovkin held? Of course he's not. Of course he's not. So let's just stop it, man. Okay? Let's just stop it. The man has 8 title defenses. He's got one more title defense currently than Deontay Wilder has at heavyweight. That's it. He's got one more. He needs to worry about staying ahead of he needs to worry about staying ahead of Deontay Wilder. That's where he is with it. And changing the story now. Now let's get to the second part, man. Let's get to the second part of this, right? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot, just to add it to you. The title that Gennady Golovkin held, that these people are trying to count, that is what Murata of Japan holds right now. Murata is the WBA world champion. Does he hold a major championship belt? Are we now on the clock for Murata as far as catching Bernard Hopkins? Are we gonna start counting, when people win the continental championships in the intercontinental championships? You're gonna start counting when they have the WBA junior. You're gonna start counting Golden Gloves matches, stuff like that, for people to get credit for this. Just stop. So I want to then move on to this thing about Gennady Golovkin saying that his record is then better and stronger. People that know boxing understand that his record is bigger, stronger than Bernard Hopkins is. So let's look at that. When he fights these 8 fights he's fought, that he's defended his belts on, we have Sal Alvarez, who's a 154-pounder. You have Daniel Jacobs. That's a good win. It was a controversial win, but it was a good win. Kell Brook's 147-pounder. So there's Dominic Wade, David Lemieux, Willie Monroe, Martin Murray, Marco Antonio Rubio. So let me see this. Marco Antonio, where are the Hall of Famers in this? Where's Sal Alvarez, maybe? You got Marco Antonio Rubio, Martin Murray, Willie Monroe, David Lemieux, Dominic Wade, Kell Brook, Daniel Jacobs, and a draw to Sal Alvarez. And now he's fighting Vanis Martirosyan. Yeah, okay, yeah. That's you're killing him, man. You gotta tell me you're killing him, right? Obviously, you're killing him. Oscar De La Hoya, Robert Allen, William Joppy, Felix Trinidad, Keith Holm, Antoine Eccles, Simon Brown, Glenn Johnson, John David Jackson. Come on, man. Come on. That doesn't sound... He's got more good fights than this dude has. Anyway, he has more good fights, good wins in title defenses than this cat has title defenses. But we'll just go with it and just say, hey, since it's the day before, since he's gonna fight next week, let's just say anything, okay? Let's just say anything. So, but before you guys leave comments about this, because I know there's going to be some Gennady Golovkin fans that are going to try to act like Gennady Golovkin's middleweight career is anywhere near on the same planet as Bernard Hopkins. Give me a break. Give me a break. Now, if he did it, if he went on ahead and said, you know what, let me fight Jermaine, let me fight do like Bernard Hopkins did after he had 20 for his 21st title defense. Take on somebody like Jermaine Taylor, man. Take on an undefeated. Jermaine Taylor was a younger cat, but undefeated, kind of in the same situation as 23-0, kind of like a Jamal Charlo. I don't quite think that Jermaine Taylor is quite on the level of a Jamal Charlo, but from where he was right now, I mean, at that time in his career, Jermaine Taylor was handing out that business. And Jermaine Taylor looked like a real good fighter until he got in the ring with Bernard Hopkins. And Bernard Hopkins, I think, might have adjusted his career a little bit, because I was at that fight with Jermaine Taylor and Bernard Hopkins. And Jermaine Taylor, though he got that first win, he got that split decision win over him, ooh, he took a lot of punishment, man. He took a lot of punishment before that fight. But, it is what it is. But let's at least get rid of this narrative that Gennady Golovkin is catching up to Bernard Hopkins. He's got 8 title defenses, man. He's got 8 of a major championship belt. Because when you're saying what is the record of Bernard Hopkins, it's 20 consecutive title defenses of a major championship belt. I like how Keith Idec, and I'm thinking that Keith Idec kind of knows what he's doing, because he said of defense of one of his 160-pound titles. No, dude, that's not even true, because he switched titles. He all the titles that he currently holds right now, he won. He's defended 8 times. Because the other 11 that you're trying to count, those were that's a WBA regular title. And the IBO. So you know you're not counting the IBO. He's not even the IBO champion anymore. You're talking about or he might be the IBO champion. I guess I have to look. The IBO champion, no disrespect to my man Angel Santos, but the IBO, yeah, he's still the IBO. So maybe they're counting the IBO. I have to believe that they're obviously not going to count the IBO. You know what I mean? But if they're counting the IBO is the only championship belt that he's held that long. It's the IBO. He gave up the WBA regular and won the WBA super. Those are 2 different titles. So if he's saying that, they must be saying that he's going to beat this title because he's defended the IBO 20 times. And that's not a major championship belt, man. So anyway, just get out of here with this nonsense. His career is not on the level of Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins also moved up in weight and won championships. I do believe he moved up to fight to win championships at 168. He definitely won it at 175. I don't think he ever won. Yeah, he did. He won. Nah, he just went up to 168. He just went up to light heavyweight. And he won he won the vacant WBC. And he won the WBC. And he also held the WBA at 175 pounds. So it is what it is, man. Let's kick rocks with this comparison, and I'm out. Peace.